Here's one thing I've always said, right? If you're not going to leave them, let them cheat in peace. No, it is. This is, honestly, it's true. Do you not think?
Are you saying 90% of people cheat?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Is it that high?
I'd say so. But here's one thing.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
You could?
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Imagine that, both doing sit-ups at 3 a.m. Because you wouldn't have to tiptoe around the house, would you, and be quiet? You'd be like, right, come on, squat time.
I feel like this would be like the perfect match made in heaven or an absolute
find me someone
disaster.
with ADHD. Oh, God.
Yo, guys, welcome back to another episode of my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I've got a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we love to talk about all things dating, relationships, and seeing what we can do to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome Rebecca to the show. Welcome.
Hi, guys. You okay?
How you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Jumped in last minute. We love that.
I know.
We love that.
Literally, I was on my way home.
She was like, I've got some stuff to chat about, some dating relationships, so let's get into it today.
I know.
It's got to be done. So I like to jump straight in. So tell us your age or your age range, asking a lady her age. And one thing a guy should know about you if he wants to take you on a date.
I'm 34.
Okay.
And I have really bad anxiety. And that is
everything or?
Everything. Social anxiety, everything. Like even now, my skin's burning.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Just because the cameras are on?
It's just the way I am. I've always been like that.
But obviously, you know, before talking, you're a model. Like you've
Yeah.
modeled a lot. You featured, you were saying like Times Square, New York,
Yeah.
you know, top magazines and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
in that environment, you are the center of attention. You're in front of cameras. Like, how do you handle it with that?
I think sometimes walking into the environment is
Yes.
where the anxiety starts. Once I find myself comfortable in the environment is where it starts to disappear.
Starts to chill.
It's for me, it's a lot of the unknown. Do you know what I mean?
I get that. And so do you feel the same way going on a date with a guy where like get in there, the lead up to it, you feel a bit anxious, and then once you're having a conversation, you're kind of okay? Or what's that like?
To be fair, I'm not really one for dating.
Like ever?
Like literally, I'm a firm believer in the right person will come to you at the right time.
But if they want to spend time with you, which is essentially what a date is, how would you do that?
It depends. It depends on the person. It depends
Okay.
on the energy that you both give out to each other.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe dating is a lot like an interview, innit? Like you sat there with them, you're trying to work out what your likes and dislikes are with each other.
Yeah.
And you trying to see whether you both fit into each other's worlds.
I think it can feel that way.
Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be.
No.
I think for a lot of people, it feels that way when they get older. So like when people in their like early 20s, they're just like, oh, let's just see if we enjoy spending time together.
Yeah.
But then when people get into their 30s, they're looking to get married and settle down. They're like, how many kids do you want? What's your family like? Where do you want to live in 5 years' time? And that feels like an interview.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair to say in your experience or no?
Kind of. I think for me, because I have such a different outlook on a lot of things in life, I'm a very deep thinker. So I will sit and think about, is it worth my time to put energy into somebody else when I'm already so busy? Do you know what I mean? Like, I am a very business-minded, structured person. So for somebody to come into my world, it'd have to fit around what I already do.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
And
of course.
I feel like sometimes it would be a bit selfish to give somebody a bit of a rope to pull when I've not got time to continue pulling it.
Yeah, I get that.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. So what is it about a guy for you that would make you go, I am going to give him the opportunity to pull this rope?
I think the best quality in a guy's got to be the banter. It's got to be the fun factor on it. Nobody wants a relationship that's boring after a week or that's comfortable within like a little short frame of time. There's got to be something there that continues to want you both to build and grow together.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Isn't being comfortable, like if you're really comfortable with someone quite quickly, isn't that a good sign? Don't you want to be comfortable with someone pretty swift?
No.
Really?
Because I feel like if you get comfortable too quick, you both lose insight of why you wanted take that step forward in the first place.
Okay, I think we're using the word comfortable in different ways. So I guess correct me if I'm wrong.
Go on.
When you say comfortable, I think you're like, oh, we're settled.
Yeah.
Where I say comfortable, I mean like, okay, when you're with a guy, you don't feel anxious around him.
So yeah,
does that make sense?
That would be perfect.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a perfect world, if I was to get into a relationship, because I have such bad anxiety and I have ADHD and I do suffer with my mental health a lot, I would have to have a guy that makes me feel comfortable.
Sure.
And I feel he's like a safe space.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But trying to get somebody to entertain that
yeah.
and understand that, it's a big ask for somebody when there's a lot more people out there that they could choose.
I get that.
Do you understand?
Yeah, it's amazing that you have that level of awareness and like honesty about it, which is great. It's interesting because if a guy approached you from your social media, like you've got a big following, you've got all these model photos and stuff, I think a lot of guys would never think this is this side of you. Like, because you come across, at least online, quite confident, quite out there, quite center of attention and stuff.
Yeah.
So in your experience, how has that been for guys who have met you from online and they took an interest in you?
I don't entertain guys from social media.
Like ever?
No.
Really?
No.
Never?
No.
You must have been approached by some like celebrities.
I do get approached, but the thing with me is there's a virtual version of me.
Yeah.
And then there's the real me.
Sure.
The virtual version of me is Rebecca Mack. It's a brand.
Sure.
That is the business I'm building. That's the world I'm creating.
Yeah.
And my world virtually falls around attention and sex appeal. There's no two ways about it.
At least she's real, boy.
Like, that is my job. Like, my job is to gain the attention of men and women through sex sells at the end of the day.
Very true.
It's a marketing technique that works well for my brand.
Sure.
However, when it comes to relationships and stuff like this, and I've learned a lot of this in the past, people get excited about meeting the brand and the Instagram version.
Of course.
But then when they see the girl that's riddled with anxiety and having a panic attack in public, or cancelling dates or cancelling meeting up with them because I'm physically not ready to do it, it's like, hang on a minute, that's not what I signed up for.
Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's so interesting. So what happens when you meet a guy in real life and then like because any guy who approaches you from online or in real life, it's because he finds you attractive.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't, he wouldn't take an interest, right?
Correct.
So when a guy maybe comes to you in real life, what happens when he does see this virtual side of you where he's like, oh, the Rebecca I met was, she was quite, maybe he came across a bit introverted, more sensitive, like I was providing a safe space for her. But the virtual version of her, she's like on front of magazines. Yeah. She's like in photo shoots. She's like the most sociable person. Like, how does that happen when a guy meets you in real life compared to when he sees that?
It changes the dynamics.
Yeah.
Depending on the guy's insecurity barriers. For example, for me to date somebody, they have to be really, really okay with their girlfriend, so to speak, half naked on the front of a magazine or in a party with a lot of other influential people. They have to be okay with, let's say, thirsty men commenting. Derogatory comments. Let's be fair. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, that happens.
I've got people like derogatory inboxes. Like, they have to be okay with guys wanting to message me, taking me on dates. That's a lot for a guy to accept. Let's be fair.
Can be, yeah.
It's a lot, especially if they're insecure, especially if they can be quite controlling or they're quite possessive.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Question, I don't disagree with you. What's the difference between a guy being insecure and a guy just having a boundary?
I think the difference between insecurity and a boundary is a boundary comes with respect. Insecurity comes with emotions that are quite unstable in a certain aspect. So their insecurities get the better of their emotions and therefore they let out anger, they let out pain, they project what they're feeling inside onto you.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was in a healthy relationship and they come to me with a boundary, for example, and said, no problem, I love your job. That is your safe space. That is your happiness. However, let me become a part of that world so I feel also comfortable in the world that you're in. Does that make sense? Like, I would have them come to my event, come to this event, come to the red carpet. I would include them in my world.
I get that for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. That's not setting a boundary though. So okay, let me pose you this. A guy starts dating you and he goes, hey, I'm not saying you would do this, but I'm saying, let's say a guy expresses this, right? And you might decide, okay, we're not compatible. He goes, Rebecca, I really like you. I really like the way this is going and stuff. I don't feel comfortable with the kind of content you post because it invites a lot of unnecessary attention. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't post half naked photos anymore. Fashion stuff, fine, but anything kind of really half naked and stuff, I don't really appreciate that. And I don't think that's right for our relationship. Is that him setting a boundary or is that an insecurity to you?
That is something that he knew at the beginning of what the relationship started on.
Absolutely.
Therefore, that's not my problem.
No, I'm not saying it's your problem, but I'm saying, is that an insecurity or is that a boundary in your eyes?
I think if you're a confident person and you're confident in the relationship that you've got between yourselves and you're quite strong-minded, I don't see how it should be a problem.
I'm not saying it's a problem, but I'm saying, like, is it an insecurity or a boundary?
Maybe mixed.
Because you could say, because it could be a boundary that just doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like most relationships are monogamous.
Yeah.
And some relationships are not monogamous.
Yeah.
But the boundary of being monogamous, for some people that works for them. For most, I believe it works for them.
Yeah.
For some people, it doesn't work for them, right? But that doesn't mean it's an insecurity. That means it's just a boundary that maybe doesn't work for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then in that aspect, I respect your boundary. However, my career is what puts the food on my table.
Yeah,
it's what feeds my children. It's what pays my bills. Therefore, separate ways.
Yeah, 100%. No that boundary doesn't work for you.
Yeah, no hard feelings. But like I just mentioned then, like anybody that comes into my life now, they're going to know what I do. So it's down to them to decide whether they want to step into my world or not. And if they agree to step into my world, then the boundary should not need to be met.
Yeah, I mean, they should be able to understand if that's a boundary that you're not willing to fulfill.
Yeah, because
that's
it is just a job. It is just a career.
To you, it might be that. But for some people, it's not always that. And if you don't know the person, it can be difficult to know, is this just a job or is this something that they benefit professionally, but it also has other benefits personally for them? Because because I know you're a professional model, right? And an influencer, but not every influencer is like, it's just a job because they get attention from it. They get dates from it. Obviously they get opportunities from it, but they get romantic opportunities from it. And that goes for guys and for girls. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So unless a guy actually knows you, he doesn't know if you see it as just a job. Yeah, it's actually quite a very good way to look at it. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah. Is there something that you have found yourself to be insecure about a guy, or maybe something that he does or that he did? I think when it comes to guys, on a personal level, it's very important for me to build a friendship and a foundation with them beforehand. So that way, if there is something that you don't like or you want to set your own boundaries, they can be addressed from the beginning without the pressure of the relationship label attached to it. Yeah, fair. I always say you wouldn't go into a business with somebody you don't trust and you hardly know. Very true. A relationship is a lot like a business in that sense. It's two people coming together, participating in building, growth, personal development. But you also have to find your happiness apart to be able to give each other's happiness together. Yes. And I feel like it's really, really important because for me, like I have a very different outlook on life. I have a very different outlook on a lot of things. And if I was to say, I don't like this, then they reciprocate what they say back. But to me, if you're going into a relationship, it's about challenging growth. It's about working as a team to be able to overcome them boundaries. If you don't want to overcome them, then you just go your separate ways. It's that simple. Sure. But boundaries are there
to be met.
What's one boundary you've had that a guy was like, I'm not comfortable with that?
Probably my job.
Sorry, I mean that you've want to set with him.
I can't think of one, you know. It depends because
I don't want you fucking another girl every 7 days.
See, here's a topic, right?
Go for it.
That what I'm about to say, a lot of people will not agree with.
Bring it. This is what we're here for.
So, answer me a question, yeah?
Yep.
You've been in a relationship for 20 years, right? Are you telling me for 1 minute you're not going to even have 1 inch of a thought to have to go to somebody else? The relationship gets comfortable. The sex gets comfortable. It gets very, very, very routined.
20 years?
I'm just like that.
20 months? What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, as a time zone, 20 years, 20 months, whatever. The longer you're with somebody, the more comfortable you get. You can't honestly sit here and say you're not going to have a desire to chase what you've no longer got.
Like another person?
Yeah.
Of course. Like, yeah. People don't get into relationships and then suddenly they don't find other people attractive. But the point is that you don't do that for the sake of your relationship. You don't chase it and you don't indulge in that for the sake of your relationship.
But 90% of people do.
Are you saying 90% of people cheat?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Is it that high?
I'd say so. But here's one thing.
I don't disagree with you.
Here's one thing I've always said, right? If you're not going to leave them, let them cheat in peace. Because all... No, it is. This is, honestly, it's true. Do you not think?
That's the best thing.
No,
I've
it is.
ever heard.
Because if
you're not going to leave them, let them cheat in peace.
Because all you're doing
let them cheat in peace, girl. Come on. Just let the guy cheat
But if you're not going to leave them, and you know they're cheating, why would you cause yourself unnecessary headache and stress when you're literally the person stopping your own pain because you're not leaving? Do you know what I mean?
Because maybe that is a boundary that they agreed upon and the guy or the girl is not fulfilling that boundary.
So then leave, be a big man or be a big lady and say, look, it's not working.
Very true.
But what I'm saying is, if you're not going to leave them, don't cause yourself a headache because they're cheating, because you're the one that's not refusing to leave.
I hear that. However, I do think there needs to be a grace period.
Yeah. Of
giving the person the option who is violating the boundary to change that and then to stay consistent by maintaining that boundary. But if they then don't, then leave. Some people, it's like, I would leave straight away. Some people, like, if they would change or if they would promise, if it was a mistake and they promised to do better, some people will stay to work on it.
But are you not violating your own respect for yourself by thinking that it's like, it's the way they've cheated or blah, whatever. It's kind of down to the fact that your relationship's not working. That's a violation of yourself.
Sure, but so a lot of the time, cheating is a symptom of a problem, not the actual problem.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, it is. Like a lot of the time, like it's literally like you said, like if somebody cheats, it's because there's something wrong with the relationship. A lot of the time. Like if someone's having an affair, a lot of the time it's because there's something wrong with the relationship. That doesn't condone the affair, but them stopping the affair doesn't address the problem from which the affair came from.
Yeah, correct. It just masks it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the same. So it's the same as you can have an issue of you guys, no one's cheating, but you guys aren't having sex. Right?
Yeah.
That could be a symptom of a problem within the relationship.
Yeah.
And just because there's a symptom, well, like I said, like if somebody cheats, you know, they've gone out and done that. Do you know what I mean? There's a level of intention there. But just because there's a symptom, that doesn't mean it's worth throwing the whole thing away, is what I'm saying.
But I feel like the intention was there before the action of cheating was performed.
Oh, it has to be. It's
got to have been there from the beginning. Like if you've got an issue in your relationship, then that is a product of the environment that your relationship's setting.
Yeah, I think.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I think a lot of the time when cheating is a symptom of a problem, that person is running away from the problem. They're going, instead of addressing the problem that we have, I'm going to go indulge myself here because that helps me cope with the problem. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying?
100%.
Now, sometimes, and this can be women, but I do think this applies for men. Sometimes a guy might cheat because he just wants something different. That does happen. I'm not saying it's okay.
No, it does. It really,
But it
really does.
happen.
Like a lot of my friends are boys. So I will literally, I'm the girl.
That's why you're like 90% of people cheat.
I'm literally the girl that is like, I'm like the girl of the boy group. Do you know what I mean?
So you see what's happening.
So I know the tricks. I get the phone calls. I get the, Becca, just do me a favor and tell me I'm at this restaurant and like I get roped into them. And it's like, yeah, this is, and so I know and I see what goes on.
So
it's very hard for me not to understand and evaluate situations when it comes to like relationships and that. And they're like, I'm just doing this. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
I get that. What about your female friends? Do they, in the female friends you have, are they as
active?
Yes.
Let's just say how it is.
Are they active?
They're all as active? They're all as bad as each other.
Really? Damn.
Girls are just as bad. Let's not sugarcoat this. Girls use their looks, their boobs, their short, tiny little mini dresses to their advantage.
Their social media?
Social media. Like literally, it sounds really bad this, but
go for
I can walk in a bar and it'd be like, right, do you want a drink? Yeah, no problem.
Of course.
I'm going to use you to my advantage.
Duh, yeah.
And I'm obviously a very, very, very open and honest person when it comes to stuff like this. Like, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I'll say it as if they don't like it, it's not my problem. And girls are 10 times worse.
I think when it comes to the mental and emotional manipulation, I think women are more equipped and they do it more. I think men tend to dominate in the physical realm, but women tend to dominate in the emotional realm.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think you get into a stage in life now where role reversals are taking place.
That's true.
You have got women now that are that narcissistically clever.
Yeah.
The men are at home crying, scared to go out because she ain't coming home at any time because she'll do what she wants.
She'll do what she wants.
And like they're cooking, they're cleaning, and you're in a stage of the world now where women are independent.
Yeah.
They do what they want. They're the breadwinners in a way.
Yeah. Oh, for themselves, they can be, for sure. 100%.
So I think it takes the masculinity away from the relationship of a alpha male response.
I do hear that, but I think money doesn't always represent. Money doesn't always represent who is the more masculine one, because you can have somebody, you can be the guy, maybe you earn more money, but maybe he still takes leadership within the relationship. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand, but I feel like this day and age, it's all about the alpha response of the relationship. Like if a girl's earning more money and the guy is feeding and living off that wage.
Yeah, true.
Then when the girl says jump, the guy's saying how high, because he hasn't got a leg to stand on to say anything other else. Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree with you. I think in most circumstances that is the case.
And I think in relationships, you have to date your wage bracket now.
Women don't want to though. Women want to date up though.
Some do, some don't.
Most, if they could choose to, most prefer to date a guy who makes more than them.
Yeah. But I feel like now a lot of women coming into play because they're independent and they're the alpha boss in their world.
Yeah.
Some women like to stay at that level.
Yeah, but then what happens is they then look for a guy who's more of a boss alpha than they are. They're not looking down.
It depends, I think. It depends.
Maybe.
I think it depends on the characteristics of the person.
Yeah.
If you got a toxic person or like a toxic individual,
yeah, that
they want to keep somebody to their level,
yeah,
to keep them there because they want them there. So
yes.
Do you know what I mean? Same with guys. A guy that's got a lot of money will find a girl that is below level them so they can feed them, so they can control them, like gift them because it makes them feel good. Do you know what I mean?
I do hear you. I'll be honest. I don't think for most guys, I don't think it's like I want to choose a woman who makes less than me so I can control her. It's just that they just choose for different reasons. Like guys, like especially if a guy's got a lot going on, like if he's got a level of success and he's in a financially good place, he doesn't care how much the girl makes because it's like, well, I cover that. Yeah. And plus, let's be honest, guys don't look to women to provide for them more often than not, right? So how much she makes is not a factor. It's more about am I attracted to her? Is she peaceful? Like, do I like being around her? Does she make me, is she nurturing in that sense? Is she feminine? If he's masculine, it's like, is she feminine? That's what guys care about. And if he earns more and he can afford to give more, and the masculine is generous to the feminine, so he will do that. Do you know what I mean? And she loves, she likes to receive. The feminine receives, right?
Yeah.
The feminine receives. So that's not saying some guys aren't controlling, but I don't think it's, sometimes we hear, a really successful older guy dates a young girl because he wants to control her. And it's like, nah, men and women just look for different things because she's dating the older guy, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like, if you ask, a young woman a lot of the time, like, do you want to date a guy who's older than you? They're like, yeah. A guy who's more experienced, yeah. A guy who makes more, yeah. A guy who's more intelligent, yeah. A guy who, is stronger than you, yeah. So it's like, okay, so that means for the guy, he's dating someone who's younger than him, weaker than him, dunner than him, poorer than him, like less whatever, in comparison. Now we're just talking about those metrics, those tangible metrics that women look for. But it works both ways. Do you know what I mean? She's dating an older, successful guy, and he's dating a younger woman in that sense.
Yeah, I think we could go on about like different levels of people.
Yeah.
But there's different dynamics in every situation.
That is true.
There is some girls that go for guys for money because they'd rather cry in a Ferrari than on the bus.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Very true.
And then you've got guys that look for more of an unstable character because it allows them to remain the alpha. There's different situations and different like dynamics in every relationship.
Yeah.
I think you have, and this is what I was saying before, like this is why for me, I like to build foundations. I like to get to know people. Like I don't want to die.
Without going on dates.
It's not that I don't like him. It's anxiety for me.
You feel it's too much pressure.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of pressure.
Right, yeah.
And that's why for me, I like to go down the friend route. Let me get to know you. Let me work out who you are.
Yeah.
Let me find out what you like, what you don't like, what your fears are, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. Like, I'd rather get to know somebody on a less formal level.
Sure.
To be able to then allow myself and my anxiety to go into it, because I go on a date with a guy, pulls up outside me, I'm having a panic attack. He's getting off. Legit, he's going. He's like, I'm not putting up with it. She's on the floor. She's a mess. Do you know what I mean?
So is it more the friendship level is more for them to get to know you?
No, I think.
So if that happens, they're like, oh, I understand.
It works both ways.
Right.
Because for me, I feel like you can't just jump in the pool at the deep end with no armbands. You'll drown. Do you know what I mean? So you got to learn to swim. You got to learn to ride a bike.
Yeah, very
and
true.
Especially if it's got somebody that you don't know, or I don't know, someone walks in the bank behind you, going to take you on a date. That type. You don't know this guy from Adam. He could be a serial killer. You don't know anything about him.
True. Or it could be your dream man.
He could, but the dream man will accept your flaws and allow the time to grow, to get to know you.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, if a guy isn't already in your circles, right? So he isn't in an environment where he can get to know you without the element of, hey, let's meet up and hang out. How is he going to have the opportunity to get to know you if a guy approaches you and he's like, hey, I noticed your energy from across the bar. Like, you seem really interesting. I'd love to get to know you. Maybe we can go for a coffee. If you're not open to that, unless he's in your circles, how can any guy even get to know you?
By text.
How's he going to text you without asking for your number?
Giving someone your number is a lot different from going public and sitting in places and having to do the unnecessarily small talk. I can do all that by text. Do you know what I mean? Text me, ask me what my favourite colour is at 3 a.m, no problem. I don't need to go for a coffee for that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I agree, but then going for a coffee meeting in person, it allows you to get deep, and you said yourself you're a deep thinker.
But I feel like that's like the second step for me. For me personally,
I understand.
Like, everybody's different. Like, some girls would be like, right, let's go out, let's book a hotel, let's go to Paris. Everyone's different. But for me, because I have really bad anxiety, I have to take things really, really, really slow. And it's all in stages. It's about levels.
I get that.
But from the beginning, no matter who it was, I would always be honest and say, look, I suffer with bad anxiety. I have mental health issues. Like, they're not disturbing issues.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cut you up at 3 a.m. and like post you into different places.
Yeah.
But you're safe. But how
You're safe.
you're safe.
I'm not going to kill you.
I'm not going to kill you. You're safe. But this is a challenge that if you want to take on, I'm giving you a heads up of it's going to be difficult, because I'm not the type of person that can just pull up outside and go, hey, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a boundary I set.
Yes. Yeah.
So they'd have to be really, really, really like smitten from the beginning to even put up with that. Because let's say guys aren't putting up with that. They're not.
I think it can be a lot for guys or girls.
Yeah.
To kind of take that responsibility on.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying, but then like, how can a guy be smitten with you if he doesn't know you? Unless he's just smitten with you just by your appearance, in which you probably wouldn't choose him for that anyway. You're like, how are you going to be smitten with me when you don't even know me?
I think there's a difference between being smitten by your own appearance and being smitten because I'm wanting my job.
Because of
social media
I
and
see.
a job. Do you know what I mean?
But your job is essentially capitalizing on your appearance, though.
Yeah, but I think people, when it comes to my job, people get lost in the transition of followers and where you've been and job roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody's smitten by your appearance, let's say off the street, then it's two completely different worlds. And this is like one of the things that I really, really, really have always struggled with since because my job is so public, is trying to differentiate the two. Like, social media has burnt me a good few times. Like, it's burnt me enough times to know now you don't reply.
As in, from guys on social media.
Like, you don't reply.
Okay.
Like, I'm honestly and open with a lot of things I say. Like, there's not, I've never done it, but I've done it and I've worked out very quickly the dynamics of the situation.
Right.
Like, once they feel like they can like speak about you and I'm with this person and I'm just having a drink with this person.
Oh, I see.
It's the name throwing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then once they've done that, it kind of fizzles out and it's like, hey, you okay? What you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm just busy, and you don't hear from them again.
Right.
Does this make sense?
I see. They're using your name and reputation to make them look good to
boost
the world,
their ego.
to boost their ego to the world. And then once they're done with that, they're like,
That's
cool,
it.
I'm out.
That's it.
I see. Yeah, that's not cool.
So that's why social media and relationships coming in from social media, it doesn't really work unless they're like 10 years in and they're still saying it. That's a bit different. But for me, I am a very reserved character when it comes to any form of relationship, even friendships. Like, I'm very reserved because someone else, they'll be your friend in the next minute, they're like, just post that for me. Just share this for me.
Have you had that experience?
A lot of the times.
Wow.
Like, and because I am very, 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 not naive, but
you expect the best from people.
I expect me from them. I know what I'm like.
Right.
And I expect and this is a really big learning curve I've had over the years.
Yeah.
I've expected, because I give 100%, I expect it back.
Yeah.
I give 100% my loyalty, my cards on the table. I want to be your friend. You be my friend.
Yeah.
But then they've got different intentions. So through social media, I've always said my job is a blessing and a curse.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare dressed as a daydream. Let's be fair. Because it comes with the amazing credentials. It comes with the
clout, the appearance.
It comes with everything.
Yeah.
But when you actually sit and look into the background of it, it's so lonely. Because the more reputation and name and brand awareness you get, the more sharks come into the sea.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes.
So from a relationship point of view, I have to be guarded. I have to reserve and protect myself because I know, and I've been there before, and it's like, I can't go through that again.
I hear that. And I can see exactly what you mean in terms of all that. And I fully agree. Is there not an element of you being able to recognize the signs better when it is genuine compared to somebody who's just trying to use your name and your brand and your image?
How do you know when someone's genuine and someone's not? You got to put your trust into them and just go with the flow, ain't you?
I don't think you put your trust in 100%.
No.
I think there's a basic level of trust that we all have, because it's like, you've not done anything for me to distrust you, but I'm not going to trust you with my baby, right? So as you build the rapport with them, that's when the trust builds. Does that make sense?
But a lot of people these days are very good at manipulating.
Yep.
And being the beautiful, hi, what are you doing today? Chatting. When they get what they want, it's bat off. So I just stop at hey now. I don't even reply.
If you're loving this episode and these kinds of conversations, then I want to give you something. We recently launched the Kits Angels community. This is a sisterhood for women who are tired of what the dating scene has given them and are ready to take their love lives to the next level. It's a space for you as a woman to not be alone in your journey to love, where we learn, talk, and share our experiences as part of a strong sisterhood, with some leadership and guidance from yours truly, of course. Not to mention never before seen videos from me on how I've led dozens of women to meeting great men. And so as a thank you for watching this episode, I'm giving you a month's membership completely complimentary on me. Just click the Kits Angels link below, and when you join the group, message me the code phrase Angels Podcast and I will pay for your membership. Now back to the episode.
Is in kind of reflection, and I'm just asking because I am curious.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you reflect in hindsight, if you just looked at their actions, would you be able to tell by their actions whether they're genuine about being interested in you or not?
Yeah.
So then can you not just use that as a barometer to tell if someone is genuine?
I think you do on to a certain level, but then red flags start to shine through. And then because I like to study psychology and I'm all about like the mind and mental health and brain neuroplasticity and stuff like that. That's literally my hobby, my pastime. I will sit and learn about it and through the foundation and stuff.
Yes.
I've become my own worst critic.
I can imagine, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm good at reading people's body language, and words don't mean anything unless it's matched with action.
Of course, yeah.
So somebody could give you the best spiel in the world. I love you. I can't wait to see you. I'll be there at 7:00. Brilliant. But they don't turn up at 7:00.
Yeah.
Or they're 3 hours late, or they can't do 7:00. Let's do tomorrow. That there is my way of going, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah. I completely agree.
So this is why I kind of divert away from social media, because it's all messages.
Yeah.
It's just red flags, innit?
Have you ever seen a guy on social media where you're like, I just find you really attractive, that I would like to get to know you?
No.
Okay.
No.
What about in real life?
Real life, there's people, like you have your little moments with people, don't you, over the years. But again, for me, there's never been a guy yet to this date, and I'm 34, that has been able to handle or want to handle and stick around for the bad parts of me. I've never met one. And it sounds quite sad when you say that, but I'm a very independent person. I don't rely on a man, but I don't need one, but I want one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But because I have ADHD, I'm doing sit-ups at 3 a.m. Do you know what I mean? I'm cooking at 2 a.m. Like I have high functioning ADHD.
Yeah.
And so I can crash and burn. It comes with anxiety. It comes with depression. Like, I done a podcast not so long ago was talk about suicide prevention. Like, I come with a lot of broken parts.
Sure.
And the reason I don't get into relationships, like I said before, is because I feel it's really selfish. Because
for you to ask for someone to take all that on.
Yeah, it's really, really selfish, because I have children and my children will always be my priority. But sometimes I can't even be a priority to myself, because I can crash and burn. I can be in bed for 3 days. Do you know what I mean? How do you expect somebody to put up with that? I would never ask them to. That's where it's selfish.
Yeah.
So
I hear that and I respect that. That's quite sad, and I'm sorry.
It is sad, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a better person for it, because I recognise that, and I'm not bringing somebody else into my world and asking them to take that on.
Do you think there's ever a version of the world in your life where you've got to a point where you can handle those shadow sides of you, that you don't have to ask someone to take that on?
I don't think there'll ever be a side of me that can handle it.
Okay.
because it's like today, like my anxiety is terrible. It's really bad. I could be out in public, have a panic attack, or I'll cry for no reason.
Yeah.
And until I get to a point in my life that I can control that and I'm comfortable at, then, like I said, I wouldn't want to bring anyone into that. If somebody come up to me and was like, look, I want to take this on. For example, someone could watch this podcast tomorrow and they'd be like, look, I'll take this on. I will deal with this. I will help you through this.
Yes.
Then that's a different side, because to be fair, I don't do podcasts. This podcast that we're doing now, I've never spoke about this stuff in my life.
We appreciate it.
So I've only started to do podcasts really this year.
Yep.
So people only, until this year, only see the virtual side of me.
They're not seeing this side.
They've never seen this side to me. So a lot of people will now start to go, fucking hell, I didn't think she was like that. Do you know what I mean?
Or someone will go, wow, like she's way more real than I realised.
Yeah. Because a lot of people think that I'm quite fickle because of my job. They think she's an idiot. Don't get me wrong, geography's not my strong point.
Yeah.
and I'm good at what I'm good at. But,
Yes.
but I have good qualities.
Yeah.
I'm a good, kind, caring person.
Yeah.
But it got to a point in my career and I'm thinking, everybody thinks I'm an idiot. Everybody thinks I'm a whore. Let's be fair, they do.
Do they?
No, you know what I mean? Like when
Sure.
they get the wrong perception of girls in lingerie and all over this social media.
And they're flying everywhere.
I'm
Yeah,
like, the amount of people that have asked me, are you a prostitute? Like, you can't blame them.
Yeah, because of the culture we live in right now.
For the inquisitiveness.
Yeah.
But you can correct them. But I can't change their opinion. If they want to think that, great. But I don't.
Yeah.
My job's my job. But it got to a point in my career and I'm thinking, I need to find the balance in this, because it actually got to a point where it was making me really unhappy.
Right.
Because I lost her in the middle of this.
Right.
Makes
so
sense.
It's almost like this is to balance out one side of your brand.
Yes.
With
Now
I
it's
hear
time
that.
to let people see the person behind the brand.
Yeah, I hear that. I respect that, man. I respect that.
Do you know what I
for
mean?
Sure. I want to ask you something. You don't have to answer
Go
this. But I completely respect how you're not ready to take someone into your life, etc., because of what comes with it. But we all have needs.
Yes, we do.
How do you have someone? Have you had someone that you can be like, okay, I know this is someone I can come to get my needs met, but it's not a thing. Do you just kind of you sort yourself out? Because I think people will ask that question. Well, we all have needs, right? So what do you do in those times?
Needs get met when needs get met. There's no two ways about it.
Like, say nothing. Show me to say nothing without saying something.
Needs get met when needs get met, but also needs get left at the door. Like, that's it.
You've lost me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Rebecca.
They get met, but they get left at the door. There's nothing comes from them.
I see.
Does that make sense? Nothing fabricates from those needs being met.
Completely.
My mum is going to hate me for that comment. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hey, you want to just show the world the real you, yeah? This is the real you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. No. Okay, I'm going to ask it. You can say no, you don't have to answer.
Go on. Shit.
Is there one person who you have your needs met with?
On camera?
You have to say their name.
Obviously not.
Don't say their name.
Like I said,
Chris Hemsworth. What?
Needs get met when needs get met. That is all I'm saying.
All right.
And
sorry. If I get her on again, I'll break her down.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
She's well media trained.
No comment.
I love that. Okay, I've grilled you. Is there something you'd like to ask to bring to conversation?
I've got a question.
Go for it.
So, like, you're a relationship counsellor. Are you
dating coach?
Dating coach, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
So, for somebody that has high functioning anxiety,
yes.
Somebody that has abandonment issues,
yeah.
I suffer with really bad insecurities that nobody would ever believe, but I do. Mm-hmm. How would you help me approach my life moving forward if I wanted to be able to open up and give somebody that part of me that my guard's stopping me giving?
That's a very good question. Okay, so I would start with the insecurities.
Yeah.
And personally, and just for the record, I'm not a qualified therapist. This is just my opinion. I'm not even a qualified dating coach. I'm just someone puts his advice online and people want me to coach them, so I do. So starting with the insecurities, we can't control how we feel.
No.
But we can change how we see something, which then impacts how we feel.
Okay.
So for example, and I've used this example before, I don't really get jealous.
Okay.
Right? I'm not a jealous person. When someone comes to me just like, oh, they get really jealous. Like, you know, if they're dating a girl and then they go out and then, you know, like the girl's at the bar and the guy approaches her. It's like he gets really jealous because maybe the guy's talked to her and she's responding, but she's not feeling him, but that still makes him jealous.
Yeah.
And I understand why. Like, you're jealous because you feel he's getting attention from her, or, you know, he's talking to the girl that you're with and, you know, you're feeling a bit territorial. 100%. But if you see it this way, which is how I see it personally, if I've been dating a girl for 3 or 4 months and then we go out to a bar and she goes to the bar to get a drink and a guy approaches her, one, I'll see it like, well, if I think she's gorgeous, another guy thinks she's gorgeous. So how am I going to be mad at another guy trying it? 2, I know what we have.
Yeah.
So some random guy, some random night isn't going to be a threat to that.
Okay.
Or 3, if some random guy on a random night is a threat to that, then the sooner I know that, the better, because then she's not the girl for me.
Yeah.
Once you start shifting how you see things, that starts to then change how you feel about the entire situation.
Okay.
So if it's like, you know, I can't remember what the saying is, but there's something like for every one person who complains that it's raining, there's someone else dancing in the rain.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that analogy.
So when it comes to like, I would start with the insecurities first and be like, okay, what is it that I am insecure about? What do I think? Like, how do I see the situation? And how can I change how I see the situation that then is going to make me feel okay? Is there another way I can look at it? Because there's a silver lining to everything. So I literally just said like, oh, you know, some guys are like, I don't like it when other guys approach my girl. Of course. But then maybe other guys approaching your girl shows that you have a great girl. So if anything, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
That you have a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Just changing the way you see it can then impact how you feel. And then at that point, you're kind of like, well, yeah. But it's like, oh, wow, like all of you want her, but guess what, fellas? She's leaving with me. You should be jealous.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where I'd start from.
See, I'm not a jealous person.
No, I'm just using that as an example.
No,
just
just
what I'm saying.
Based on what you said, like that's one thing I don't get. Like if I'm in a relationship and he's entertaining you or there's something going on, he's allowed that entertainment to take place because he's the one in the relationship.
Yes.
Therefore, you've done me a favour. I'll see you later, ta-ra.
Got you.
Yeah. However, I can be quite territorial in the fact of if I put my time and energy in, let my guard down with somebody. For example, as I've said today, it's a really hard thing for me to do.
Yes.
If I'm putting my cards in on the table, then your cards are getting put in on the table. And it's like a different version of me then. Because then I'm like, well, I've gone out of my way and put all this time and energy into breaking myself inside out to let my guard down. So then you're mine. Not in like you're not in a controlling, horrible way, but in a you don't understand how hard it's been for me to get to this level. So I expect the reciprocation of the respect and the understanding back.
Yeah.
So if you're in town and let's, for example, I have a boyfriend, we're in Manchester or in London, wherever, there's girls all around him. I'm not going to deny that because he's going to be a good looking guy. However, what I wouldn't appreciate, right, okay, that's fine, talking, whatever. But the first thing you say is, I'm with my girlfriend, or like, you don't need to entertain them.
I know. Sorry, I know exactly.
You know what I mean, don't you?
I do. It's so funny.
Like,
I remember seeing this meme where it was just like, it was this funny skit. A guy was like walking, and it's like how every girl expects her boyfriend to act, and a woman just goes, "Oh, excuse me." He's like, "I have a girlfriend." Like another one was like, "What's the time? I have a girlfriend," and it's just like it just reminded me of that.
Do you understand where I'm coming
but
from?
I do know what you mean.
On
yeah,
a respect
entertaining
level.
it. Yeah, but I think regardless of how hard or how much it took for you to get to that point, I think that's that is a reasonable expectation throughout.
Yeah.
Like, just because it took you more to get to a point where you could be open and vulnerable with him, that doesn't mean that even if you weren't at that point, or if it took you less, that he shouldn't handle that with respect for the relationship.
Correct.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, and this is what I was saying. So like in that situation, like on a night out,
Yeah.
that's fine. Go and get all the looks and attention you want, because let's be fair, it's going to work both ways.
Of course, you're probably going to get more attention.
So,
let's be honest.
but I would be straight away, because I've got bad anxiety, I'd be like, I wouldn't entertain it. Like if you're having a laugh and a joke, that's fine. But your boyfriend stood next to you, having a laugh and a joke with you.
Yeah.
They're the respect levels that I come in at.
Yes.
Like if I'm putting my energy into someone, then I respect that person to a whole different level, whole different degree. And I expect it back. When I don't get it back, that's a red flag for me. That's like, well, if I'm giving you everything, then I want it back. If I don't get it back, then the door's there. Bye.
I agree. I agree. I think there's an element though. Sometimes when you enter into a relationship, sometimes we have to understand that someone's standards for certain situations might be different to ours, and them having a different standard doesn't mean that they're intentionally trying to disrespect you.
No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
100%
And so you have
agree.
to communicate, be like, okay, in this kind of scenario, this is how I would handle it, and this is how I'd appreciate if you could. Would you be happy with that?
I think relationships only work with communication.
Yeah. of
You
course.
have to communicate. But again, if you don't comprehend what the other person is saying, or you don't understand their intake on what they're trying to communicate, it's never going to work.
I agree. I do agree. I think it's more important. I don't think you even have to understand why they need something, but I think it's more important that their needs can be met.
Is that not the same thing? If you want to meet your girlfriend's needs, then you have to understand where she's coming from with a point of view to be able to get this perspective to respect her. Do you not think?
I think if you can, yes, but I don't think it's a necessity, because I think it's just more important, because there'll be some things that
You disagree on.
There'll be some things that I don't understand, because it might be one of those things where, you know, men and women, we're more the same than different, but we are different. And so there may be some things that as a person, I just think differently about something than she does, or it's because I'm a guy or whatever it is, right? It doesn't, it's not a necessity for me to understand, so long as if I know what the need is and I can fulfill and I choose to fulfill that need, that's what's important. Because like, for example, like, yeah, she's gonna hate me.
What, for started?
Yeah, okay. For example, she won't mind this. For example, there was one time when preparing for a shoot day, for guests with podcasts and stuff, and she had stayed the night. And I have a routine in the morning. In the morning, I go to the gym, come back, eat food. I've already set up, and I'm sorting out with my producer coming, all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And all of that, went to the gym, came back. She'd made breakfast for me, lovely. All of this stuff. And obviously I'm getting into work mode.
Yeah.
I'm getting into professional mode.
Yeah.
And I think this was one of the first times that that I was with her in work mode.
Okay.
Right, at home.
Yeah.
Like she'd come to like premieres and press nights with me and stuff, but like for the podcast and stuff, for the channel. And out of nowhere, my producer, he was there, who'll vouch for this. Out of nowhere, it was like she was supposed to be leaving and stuff like that. And it was like, a fight just kind of started, like this whole argument or disagreement. Like she felt like I wasn't kissing her goodbye and I wasn't doing this or whatever. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, what's going on? What is this? And then after the fact, and bless her, I love her dearly. She was just like, look, I wanted your attention because I felt your attention just went on work and I was there and I didn't have your attention.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was like, I would have just appreciated if while I was there, you know, you just kiss me goodbye, or like, you know, you saw me to the door as opposed to just focusing on work. And she was like, I'll do better to allow you to do that. And I was like, rah, for me in that moment, I didn't understand what she needed. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I'm working, like, why is my attention in need of yours right now? But it's just so she feels seen, even though I'm in work mode. Yeah. I may not understand why that need is there, because I wouldn't have an issue with that. But then I don't mind fulfilling that need if that's what she needs. Does that make sense? Yeah. That might be a long-winded story to say, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
I think it's as long as the person's needs, you know what their needs are, you don't always have to understand why.
Do you know? See, I agree. I agree, but I do think that there has to be some form of comprehension between the communication between you both to be able to understand how to fulfill the needs.
That's fair.
Do you know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like, if you don't listen to what they're saying and understand what she's saying, then you're not going to take that on board. It's not going to affect you internally on an emotional level to the point where you want to change, you want to fulfill the need to make her happy. Because if, for example, that story, she didn't really mean anything, so you wouldn't have been bothered. You wouldn't have wanted to help her overcome the issue.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So therefore you've comprehended what she said and you've actioned on it.
Yeah. I get that.
You know what I mean?
Obviously, the more you can understand, the better.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people are like, why don't you understand? It's like, well, as long as I know what the need is, or as long as you know what the need is, then you might be able to move forward with that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more thing. What's a double standard that you'd have for the guy that you'd be with?
In what respect?
As in, is there something you would expect him to do that you wouldn't require yourself to do?
No. No. I honestly believe if it's good for me, it's good for you. If I don't do it, you don't do it. It's got to be a full-on mutual level of respect.
Respect, 100%. But I mean, I guess in terms of what they would bring to the relationship. So for example, you know how you're like, could you be with someone who has ADHD, etc.? Could you handle someone else's baggage? You could?
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Imagine that, both doing sit-ups at 3 a.m. Because you wouldn't have to tiptoe around the house, would you, and be quiet? You'd be like, right, come on, squat time.
I feel like this would be like the perfect match made in heaven.
Oh,
or an
find me someone
disaster.
with ADHD. Oh, God, imagine that.
Okay, imagine ADHD, but you said you're high functioning or high achieving?
High functioning.
What's the other version? I don't know. Is there another one?
I don't know. As old as only me. I get 2 hours sleep a night, and honestly, I'm making noodles at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
It's really bad.
So could you provide that space for someone when maybe to you they might be being erratic or irrational, or they're doing something that's like driving you up the wall, but it's because of a condition that they have?
See, I'm quite diplomatic, and because of I work with mental health and stuff like that, I am a talker. I like to talk out problems.
Okay.
If there's an issue, sit down, we're fixing it. It's that simple. If we're not fixing it, what we're doing? Do you know what I mean? It's about growth. It's about development. And I always find that if people, or if I was in a relationship and the other person was struggling, I would become their safe space, because I do the therapy and I do the counselling. So they get a bit of everything in one. I'm a very patient person. I'm a very understanding person. Like, literally, I was in a relationship once, and for a very long time, actually. And when I found out eventually that he was cheating and doing this, that and the other, the first time, went bananas. I hit the roof. And then my mum said to me, you're not going to leave him. Let him cheat in peace. But why are you doing that? Make sure you're growing and you're sorting yourself out. And I did. And then I thought, right, I'm not going to leave, so I'll carry on. Anyway, got to a point where I was sat down and I was like, listen, what are you doing? Like, let's talk about this, because there's clearly a breakdown between me and you. So let's work out the problem. Let's go our separate ways, because there's no point being at each other's throats and carrying on. It's silly. Yeah. So for me, I would like to believe that I am quite an understanding person when it comes to a relationship. Like, you can sit down and tell me if I'm the problem, because 99% I am, because I've got ADHD. I'm up and down. So you tell me I'm the problem, I will go away and I will fix that problem. If I can't fix that problem, I will ask you to help me fix that problem, or help me understand more about that problem. I'm very, very, very workable, moldable. Like, I will help you if you're having a down day, because I know what down days are like. I will help you if you're ADHD'd up. No problem. Let's go for a run for 3 hours together. Yeah. I am one of them people, because it takes me so long to let my guard down and be comfortable around a person. Once I'm in, I'm in.
Sure.
So I will literally be loyal to the point where I've probably got no teeth left because I've grinded them down through stress. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of them. I don't believe in giving up. I believe in, if you're both putting your cards in, fix it, because nothing's perfect.
100%.
You don't know anyone. Like, you could be in a relationship for 3-4 years. You still don't know that person. They could still be harboring their deepest, darkest secrets.
Very true.
Like, you don't genuinely, you could be sleeping next to someone for 5-6 years. They could wake up on the 7th year and go, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
So you don't ever know at what point to get comfortable with. So there's always going to be something that's going to come out in the woodworks. So you have to be understanding.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree with you. I get that.
I'm ready for change.
Do you ever feel that you have enough to take someone else's stuff on with how much you're kind of dealing for yourself? Like, do you have enough capacity? Do you have enough energy? Do you have enough spirit to take on someone else's stuff?
I've tried. I have tried in the past. Like, I've been in relationships. I'm not a relationship like phobe. I've been in them. I've put 110% effort into them.
Yeah.
I've give everything until I'm a mess on the floor in the corner because I can't physically take it anymore.
You can't do it anymore.
But I think going back,
yeah,
I was very, very unhealed at those points. So I'm trying to fix people before I'm fixing myself. So when I come out of relationships and stuff like that, I've then took the time out to work on me, to heal me, to allow my inner self to grow and develop. So now I'm in a very, very, very good position in my life that if I met the right person, I would 100% say, okay, this is the problem, this is what you deal with, but vice versa, I'll help you back. I'm not saying that I would never, ever be in a relationship. What I'm trying to say is that it's a lot for somebody to take on. A lot.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah. And I think it's amazing they have that awareness and understanding.
Yeah.
For sure. One last thing. What's one thing you would ask all men today, if you could?
One question, just any question.
Sure. A question to the species of men.
It's a good question, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you could ask one man anything in the world?
If you could ask men one question.
Men.
Yeah.
What makes them feel like they can't speak out about their suffering compared to women?
It's a very good question.
Because just because you're a man does not mean you should suffer in silence.
Yeah.
I deal a lot with suicide prevention. Men kill themselves more than women.
They do.
So it would be, to anyone watching this, or for example, who is suffering or whatever, don't feel like because you're a man, you can't open up. Because everybody's spirit and energy and emotion has no gender.
Very true. While I don't speak for every man on the planet, I think there are a few reasons that come to mind immediately.
Go on.
I think the first thing is because of the notion and culture of being in a patriarchal society, we've lived in patriarchal societies.
Yeah.
If a man speaks about his own suffering, it's like, well, why are you complaining because you're a man and you've not had it hard in comparison to XYZ? Another reason is that men learn very quickly when they enter the world that no one is there to catch them.
No one's there to catch anyone, though.
Well, I'll be honest, I think as a woman, other men and even society are there to catch you. Like,
in what way?
Well, there's more homeless shelters for women. More men live on the street. Most of benefits go to women. To be fair, part of that is because they tend to have the custody of children, but more women are afforded benefits. If there's a crisis, it's women and children first.
But a father with full parental responsibility will also take them benefits.
I know, but that's like women get custody of the children 90% of the time.
Yeah, they do. The minute a child's born, the overall rights goes to a mother.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the case, if we even take abortion, a woman can refute the right to be the mother
Yeah.
a man is held responsible for being the father in the eyes of the law, whether he wants to or not. Right? When the draft happens, it's men that go to war. Like this whole situation with Ukraine, the women weren't staying, but the men had to stay and fight. So, and not to mention, if you're a young, attractive woman, you might have not anything to your name, but there are going to be guys who want to take you out, who want to take care of you because you're a young, attractive woman. There's this saying, like, there's nothing in the eyes of society. I'm not saying this. There's nothing more useless than a young man who knows nothing. Because men have to build value in themselves.
Yeah.
So men learn very quickly that no one is there to catch them. Like, it's on you. And so with that, there's a level of harsh realness and realization of not that women don't ever have to do it by themselves, but like men really are on their own and they have to do it because no one's coming to get them. And not only that, but a lot of the time, at least for the kind of woman they would want to attract, they're not even going to be there. It's like you have to build value on yourself first before this woman even looks your way. And I'd say the third thing I would say that it's a man who's vulnerable really quickly is seen as a weakness by men, but also very much by women.
But only by the wrong women and the wrong men. If a man was if, for example, you had a breakdown tomorrow, and you posted on social media that you was really, really struggling, for example, I would not see you as a vulnerable candidate, target, whatever one you call yourself. I would see you as strong-willed, and because you've come out and surfaced that regardless of what people think.
Yeah.
So as a man, are you really weak for telling your problems, or are you strong because you built up the courage to do it knowing what people think? Do you know what I mean?
I do hear that. I think there's two things to that though. I think one, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of women, they want to be the emotional waves that crash into the mountain that is the man. They want the man to be they want to see the man as being more emotionally stable, because she's like, we can't both be emotionally unstable. Like,
no, you've got to have one strong character to pick up the other. It's like a balance.
Right.
I get it.
And so because of that, that's why, at least, even if a man is being vulnerable, it can go against him in terms of the dating or romantic or love or relationships if he is seen as an emotionally unstable man. And the other thing, I think because of the risk of it being seen as weakness by men and by women, a lot of the time, and maybe I'm biased, I think a lot of the time how men deal with their problems is very solution based. I think a lot of the time, and this is something as a man I've had to learn when I've been in a relationship with women. When a woman comes to us, like if our girlfriend comes to us with a problem, immediately we go into solution mode. We're like, okay, this is how you fix it. This is how you fixed it. Sometimes, and guys, we have to learn this. Sometimes she just wants to be seen and heard. She doesn't need a solution from you. She just wants to be listened to. As guys, a lot of the time, for us to solve a problem that we're feeling down about, is like fixing that is solving the problem, not just expressing how we're feeling, but like solving a problem. If one of my boys comes to me and he's saying about how things are hard, we'll talk about it, but then we'll very much go into what's the solution? How do we handle that? And a lot of time that's how guys handle problems. So it's like, if the risk of just saying it brings a bad perception to the world, and me just saying it, like, if you can't help me fix my problem, why am I going to open up to you? Because all I risk is you seeing me lower.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But in the right environment and with the right circle of people around you, like if you had an issue, then there's one person in your life that hand on heart, you can go to, no judgment, no nothing.
Yes.
They'd be there for you like that. So you'd have no reason not to open up. We're not opening up to the world. And this is what men kind of like take the role and the responsibility of get it wrong, because they think by opening up, the world's going to judge them. They overthink it. You're opening up to one person who you know is going to stand by your side. So then where's the judgment and where's the self-awareness for the person you're talking to?
But I think part of men's fear, if we're talking like with women, is they don't believe that she will stand by their side. because I think men have observed and maybe even taught that in order actually through experiences, you know how I said for him to be desirable to a woman, he has to build value in himself. Men observe and are taught, and through their own experiences, that they are not chosen for who they are chosen for what they can do for her. Very much so.
Yeah, but I think you're in a society now where everything's changing, and it's men are now becoming emotionally available in ways. Like a lot more men is coming out and saying, I'm not okay.
Of course.
And
which is important.
I think what the problem you've got is when it comes to male's mental health, women's mental health, but more male now, is the fact that everything's gender reversing, it's all changing. Men are coming out and saying, I'm not okay, in a society that has taught you not to be like that. But that's 10 years ago. We're no longer living in what 10 years ago was. It's completely dead. You may as well be like the dinosaurs now. Where like I had to come in when the lampost's light went out. Do you know what I mean? When I used to play out before, like we had mobile phones and all that generation no longer exists.
Very true.
So if you've got a 45-year-old man who's from that generation, is now trying to work his way out into a generation of it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to speak.
Very true. Everything
that he's systematically been taught and been sustained to believe from a very young age now doesn't matter. So not as long as along there's ways and sides of I'm not okay, it's confusing. Because it's like, what do you mean I'm not okay? We're not meant to say that.
Yes.
But the generation of children born now are born into a society to say it's not okay.
It's not okay. And I think that's a good thing.
Does that make sense?
We're moving in the right direction for sure. I agree. Listen, we're going to wrap it there, Rebecca. Fine. We're going to wrap it there. Really appreciate this conversation. Thank you for coming on and sharing energy with us. If people want to find you on the socials, where can they find you?
Rebecca Mac RM across all socials. With that little @ sign.
Perfect. We love that. Of course. Well, we appreciate you for coming on. So thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. Guys, go show Rebecca some love. Give us some likes. Give us some follow. Now you've seen more the real side. So when you see her Instagram or her socials, you see the model side. Now you can balance it with this side. So Rebecca, of course we will. But Rebecca, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. Guys, thank you for tuning in. And I will see you in the next episode.